Hi there everyone, we're back in my office once more. You might be familiar with this site if you've watched some of my other videos, particularly Numberphile. We record a lot of videos here doing mathematics, and everyone notices the things in the background and often asks me questions about them. So I'm going to talk about a couple of them today, I don't know, just because. Let me start with this lightsaber, which is sort of a rough copy of the lightsaber that Luke Skywalker has in Return of the Jedi. This is pretty much homemade. I think some guy in Adelaide, where I'm from, probably just made it on a lathe. And although Star Wars toys and plastic things like that have been around for a long time now, back in sort of the 1990s when this was made, it wasn't quite so common to have sort of sturdy, nice metal replica Star Wars things. And I remember seeing this in a glass cabinet at a comic book shop in Adelaide, and I'd never seen anything like it. I couldn't believe it. I know now they make better ones, and you've probably seen YouTube videos where people make better ones, but at the time, it was incredible. And I used to just stare at it through the glass thinking, oh man, like Wayne's World.
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine.
I can't remember what it cost. It was probably $100 or $200, and there was no way that I could afford to buy it. Anyway, a few months later, I got my first job at a newspaper in Adelaide, and then I got my first paycheck. And I remember saying to my dad how much I loved this lightsaber at the comic book store, and he said, oh, why don't you just go and buy it? And I was like, I can't buy it. It costs a lot of money. And then I realized, well, I actually had some money in the bank. And I remember getting on a bus into the center of town, walking into the comic book store, and then I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to even say the words. Could I have the lightsaber and the glass, can you get it? I couldn't believe I was asking him to get it out for me. And the guy that ran the shop went and got it, put it in front of me. I touched it, I held it, I couldn't believe it. And then pulled out the money and paid for it, and he gave it to me. He wrapped it in I remember he wrapped it in this paper bag, and then I sat on the bus holding this lightsaber that I've been looking at for months, and I finally owned it. I couldn't believe it. It was probably the most expensive thing I owned. And like, life has moved on now, and I've bought other things slightly more expensive and had other experiences, but everywhere I go, every country I've moved to, every house I've lived in, this comes with me. The first proper thing I coveted and then bought, and now it sits on the shelf behind me, and I love it. I'll quickly mention this because lots of people see it on the shelf. I believe it's a Hanukkah Menorah. It's a Jewish thing. A lot of people see it and ask me, oh, is Brady Jewish? I'm not Jewish, but I bought this in Jerusalem. I went and did a bunch of films in Jerusalem for my Bibledex YouTube channel, where I made videos about every book of the Bible. I had a fantastic time in Israel. I really enjoyed it. And I just bought this as a souvenir, something to kind of remember my time there by, and put it on the shelf, and I like the look of it. I don't even understand fully the traditions of it and how it's used. I can read about it on Wikipedia, of course, but it really is just something decorative and brings back a lot of happy memories of a filming trip. Here's something that some people might not recognize, others will. This is a cricket bowl, if you've never seen one before. It's a used cricket bowl. It's been used in a game. It's made of red leather. You can see it's split down the middle there and stitching. Call that the seam in cricket. The reason I kept this particular ball, it was from just a game of club cricket that I played in Australia. I had a very good friend of mine called Chris, and we were best cricket friends. We talked about cricket all the time. We both had a real passion for the sport, but we never played together very much. And this was one of the few games we played together in. And he was bowling, and I was wicket keeping, for those who understand anything about cricket. And he bowled a ball that caught the outside edge of the batsman, and I took the catch. So it was a souvenir of one of the few times we played together and teamed up for a wicket. And that was the ball from that day. Still sort of got dirt on it and grass stains on the seam, scuffed up and used in action. Here's something fun. Someone who has listened to my podcasts over the years also happened to be involved in working on Air Force One in the Obama years, and these are some of the famous presidential M&Ms that you would be given if you were flying on Air Force One. I've never opened the box or eaten them. The M&Ms are still in there. And just for good measure, they also do the Hershey's Kisses presidential style, if you prefer those. I wonder what they taste like now. It's been a while since the Obama years. Oh yeah. And there's the napkins from the plane as well. Nice one. All right. Funnily enough, this isn't intentional. I have them sitting on my West Wing box set. Lots of other bits and pieces here. Maybe we'll save them for another video. What do you say, James?
Yeah.
We'll do them another day. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching all of our videos. By the way, you can support us on Patreon. The address is on the screen and in the video description. And it really helps us make more videos. We make as many as we can and we're going to keep trying to make them. But a little bit of help on Patreon gives us a little bit more resources for more editing, more travel, the ability to make more videos. If it's something you're interested in, we do try to make it worth your while with bonus material and pictures and things. If it's not your thing or not something you can afford, that doesn't matter either. The most important thing is that you're here watching, and if you see a video you like, maybe share it with your friends. That helps us out as well. But if you are interested, again, Patreon on the screen, in the description. Thanks everyone. What's the difference between a harpsichord and a piano?
It's the action inside. The instrument right behind you is a 1793 instrument by Broadwood. So it's exactly the same date, the same company, but this is a harpsichord. And if you play a note, you'll hear it's quite different.
Oh yeah, this is like in the movies. Yeah, when they're doing...
We are plucking the strings in here, whereas in a piano, you're hitting the strings.
So are you ready, people? Here's a pluck. And now here's a hit.
Nearly the same note as well.
Well, you know, I know my notes. I got no idea.